Alright, we got to look at some Long Island Railroad press releases. I'm getting tired of having to talk about the Long Island Railroad, trust me. Um, but this is, to confirm that there is going to be that east side access signal system work at Harold Interlocking, and also a service to the switches and tracks on the Atlantic branch this Saturday. So buses will substitute for trains between Valley Stream and West Hempstead, and service changes on several other branches Saturday, May 12th. But there is regular service for Mother's Day on Sunday. So Long Island Railroad crews will test upgraded signal systems for the East Side Access project, as well as perform switch surfacing work on the Atlantic branch to ensure system reliability. This Saturday, May 12, 2018, the Long Island Railroad will suspend all week work and testing on the morning of Sunday, May 13th, to help customers travel to and from Mother's Day visits and activities. How kind of them. Starting Friday, May 11th at 10:18 p.m. until Sunday, May 13th at 6:29 a.m., train movements through the Harold Interlocking in Queens will be limited while Long Island Railroad crews perform testing on a new signal system for the East Side Access project. The new signal system at Harold Interlocking will ensure smooth and improved train service through the area, as it is a crucial piece of infrastructure containing numerous switches that route trains across the tracks that lead to Penn Station. The new system is based on microprocessor technology, which has built-in redundancies and replaces an older, hardwired, relay-based signal system. Coinciding with this work, the Long Island Railroad crews will be performing switch surfacing on the Atlantic branch, which will help improve track stability and ensure safe and efficient operations. One of two tracks on the Atlantic branch between Jamaica Station and Valley Stream will be out of service for 18 hours from 12:15 a.m. on Saturday, May 12th until 6:35 a.m. Sunday, May 13th. To allow for these necessary projects, some service changes to the Long Island Railroad train schedules will be in effect late Friday evening until Sunday morning. Special timetables for May 11th to 12th on the affected branches with adjusted schedules and connections can be found, and they provide the link. So here are the details on the changes. So the West Hempstead branch may have to deal with cheese buses. I don't know. Hopefully not, but passengers for the West Hempstead branch will detrain in Valley Stream and board buses up to 12 minutes later than normal for the duration of their trip to stations Westwood, Malvern, Lakeview, Hempstead Gardens, and West Hempstead. Passengers should expect up to 24 minutes of additional travel time. And the westbound West Hempstead passengers will board buses at their station up to 23 minutes earlier than normal for Valley Stream, where train service will resume. And of course, here's how we're getting screwed. The Huntington branch is being reduced from half-hourly to hourly, with trains during this time making all local stops between New Hyde Park and Huntington. And other trains will also have revised schedules. Port Jefferson service is reduced from 90-minute intervals to every 2-hour intervals, with alternate connections to west of Huntington. So yeah, this was probably put together well in advance by Mr. Nowakowski. No surprise. So Far Rockaway, some trains will be operated on an adjusted schedule, and some will have added stops at Rosedale, Laurelton, and Locust Manor. Long Beach branch also has some eastbound Long Beach trains will operate on adjusted schedules and originate out of Valley Stream. All right, Long Beach passengers will board Far Rockaway trains in Jamaica 23 minutes earlier than Long Beach trains and detrain at Valley Stream, where train service to Long Beach will resume. So people will have to have an extra transfer at Valley Stream. So this is going to also affect the Long Beach branch as well. Some westbound Long Beach trains will operate on an adjusted schedule and will terminate at Valley Stream. Long Beach passengers will detrain at Valley Stream and board the Far Rockaway train 21 minutes later for service to western terminals. Passengers should expect up to 23 minutes of additional travel time. I don't know why I know why they're doing that, because the Atlantic branch work, but I don't know why the Long Beach trains can't just use the Babylon branch to access Jamaica. So we will have to look at those schedules and see that in the following segment. But I want to go over the other press release here. All right, and that is this. In May, Long Island Railroad May timetable change brings service enhancements to the Montauk branch, Port Jefferson branch, and doubles North Fork weekend service. So Long Island Railroad timetables change on May 21st, bringing a number of schedule improvements that have been requested by customers. Other changes relate to ongoing work and infrastructure improvements planned to take place this summer. So we don't know if the Harold thing will continue. I don't know. I really hope that it ends because the hourly service in the Huntington branch is terrible, as you know. It's just Nowakowski's way of screwing us. So, Montauk branch service improvements and timetable changes. So there's been it activated with the activation of a modernized signal system between Spionk and Montauk, which had previously operated under a manual block without signals, also known as dark territory. The Long Island Railroad is now able to bolster morning rush hour service from Southampton, Hampton Bays, and Westhampton by adding a daily one-seat ride to Penn Station for the first time ever. The Penn Station-bound train that currently originates at 5:08 at Spionk will be extended to originate from Southampton at 4:41 a.m. and stop at Hampton Bays at 4:51 a.m. and Westhampton at 5 a.m. before continuing on its current route, arriving at Penn Station at 7:02 a.m. During overnight hours on weekends, one of two tracks between Babylon and Sayville will be out of service to support positive train control testing. As a result, two weekend overnight trains will operate on adjusted schedules up to 12 minutes later. Interesting that there's no cutbacks in service there for them, but when they did the positive train control testing on the Port Washington branch, they had to cut the service back. And there's maybe more going on than I know about, obviously. Well, there isn't as many trains going through there, I guess. That's part of it. Seasonal North Fork weekend service doubles. So as a result of an ongoing collaborative effort involving elected officials and community members that has led to the addition of an early morning fisherman's train and the addition of an early afternoon arrival in New York City, the Long Island Railroad is doubling the weekend service to the North Fork for the summer season. For the first time, weekend service is operating with 4 round trips between Ronkonkoma and Greenport, as opposed to 2 round trips per day that existed until this May and in previous summers. So that's good to hear. Port Jefferson branch service enhancements and timetable changes. In response to customer requests for improved late-night schedules, the Port Jefferson-bound train that currently originates at Jamaica at 2:10 a.m. and arrives at Port Jefferson at 3:36 a.m. will instead originate out of Jamaica 90 minutes earlier at 90 minutes earlier at 12:40 a.m. and arrive in Port Jefferson at 2:06 a.m. During weekday off-peak midday hours, because one of 2 tracks between Syosset and Huntington will be out of service for a continuous welded rail replacement, 2 trains will be adjusted up to 3 minutes earlier. So they are replacing the rail, but why aren't there concrete ties being put in? Why is it still wood? That's what I don't understand. Why aren't they giving it the same treatment that the Babylon branch got? Well, because it's not the Babylon branch. This is all, again, set up by Nowakowski, a lot of this stuff. So that was set up by Nowakowski. This is something else. So a service enhancement, reverse commute from Queens. So in order to respond to customer requests to increase train service for reverse commuters, the Hempstead-bound train departing Penn Station at 6:58 will have added stops at Forest Hills and Kew Gardens, and then Jamaica, and then all stops to Huntington. And then they will be lengthening 9 trains on 6 branches. So Long Island Railroad is adding more cars to 9 busy rush hour trains to reduce crowding. And this is good to hear. We're putting our cars where our customers need them the most, said Long Island Railroad President Phil Eng. We looked at our equipment position tables and train schedules and found ways to more smartly deploy our cars so that some of our busiest trains get more seating. I'm looking to find more ways to reduce crowding. No one should have to stand if they don't want to. I can't. I've never heard a president say that, so I'm very encouraged by that. So here are the trains that will be getting longer. The 6:13 a.m. train from Massapequa Park, which runs semi-express to arrive at Penn Station at 7:08 a.m., is lengthened to 10 cars from its current 8. And this train makes 6 stops, by the way, including Jamaica. Actually, 6 stops on the Babylon and then Jamaica as well, so it's 7 stops. The 6:31 a.m. train from Lyndhurst, which is a flyer, I think, runs semi-express to arrive at Penn Station at 7:33 a.m., is being lengthened to 12 cars from its current 10, and that train also makes 6 stops. So the Long Beach branch, the 6:13 p.m. train from Penn Station due in Long Beach at 7:10 p.m. is being lengthened to 12 cars from its current 10. On the Montauk branch, the 5:39 a.m. train from Montauk due in Long Island City at 8:44 a.m. is being lengthened to 8 cars from its current 6, and the 6:17 p.m. from Jamaica due in Montauk at 9:07 p.m. is being lengthened to 5 cars for its current 4. But I don't see any, or I don't see any lengthening of Port Jeff diesel trains. Some of those are kind of crowded. The 6:01 p.m. train from Penn due in Hicksville at 6:45 p.m. is being lengthened to 10 cars from its current 8. I totally agree with that. I saw that train pulling with 8 cars today into Hicksville, and it was jam-packed. That train should really be 12 cars, in my opinion. That is a flyer. It only stops at Westbury and Hicksville, but it connects up with the diesel train at Hicksville. And it really should be 12 cars. If the 605 to Wandsworth is 12 cars, why is the 601 not 12 cars? Still thinks needs to be 12 cars. If anything, I think the 605 train should be shortened. A lot of these flyers on the Babylon branch should be shortened. But, you know, don't touch the Babylon branch. That's what the stockbrokers say. The 7:22 p.m. from Penn Station due into Huntington at 8:24 p.m. is being lengthened to 12 cars from its current 10. So that's good too. That's a very crowded train. So the 5:36 p.m. train from Penn Station, which runs express to Great Neck, then makes all stops to arrive at Port Washington at 6:04 p.m. is being lengthened to 12 cars from its current 10. On the Ronkonkoma branch, the 7:19 a.m. from Ronkonkoma, which currently stops at Central Islip and Brentwood before running express to Penn Station, that's a flyer, arriving at 8:28 a.m. is now being lengthened to 12 cars from its current 10, and that's needed because of the work going on the Ronkonkoma branch. Other branch changes. So one of 2 tracks between Atlantic Terminal and East New York will be out of service during weekday, off-peak midday periods, and weekends for positive train control, construction, renewal of tunnel lighting, reconstruction of the Nose Street Avenue station, which is very important. This has been brought up by MTA Prodigy. That station is in terrible shape and needs to be upgraded. Upgrades to communication standards and work on the newly built Vanderbilt Yard near Atlantic Terminal. As a result of these projects, during weekday, midday, off-peak time, schedules will be adjusted up to 4 minutes. Up to 4 minutes on the Hempstead, Far Rockaway, Babylon, Port Jefferson, and Ronkonkoma branches. On weekends, some Far Rockaway, Hempstead, and Long Beach train schedules are adjusted from current schedules by as much as 3 to 10 minutes. So I'm glad they're talking about the communicating the changes they want to make. So I'm encouraged by this. Next, we will look at the Long Beach schedule for this Saturday. Okay, so let's look at this Long Beach schedule. So they say due to track work, try to use some trains run unadjusted. It's actually pretty major. So T says transfer at Jamaica, transfer to from train at Valley Stream, but really you're better off actually taking the Babylon branch to Lynbrook and transferring. So here's what the schedule is. So this is only for Saturday. This is going to be affected. So what's going to happen here is there's going to be no direct service between Long Beach and Jamaica because there's one track. There's only going to be one track, I guess, available on the Atlantic branch, which is the branch that the Long Beach train and the Far Rockaway train use. Those are the, when you're on they veer off to the south, and they come in just before Jamaica. So because of that, they can't really run the full capacity through there. But what I don't understand is why the Long Beach train can't just use the Babylon branch to access Jamaica. But I guess the Long Beach is not allowed on the pretty little Babylon branch. We don't want to inconvenience the snobs. So I don't know. I mean, there's maybe more to it than that, obviously, because you have the Harold work, too. But here's what it is, all right? So if you're on the Long Beach line, you're going to get screwed because you got to take a shuttle train to Valley Stream, which you'll get in at 7:44, and then you got to wait to 8:05. And then you're going to transfer over to this train here, which is the Babylon train. So you can really just get off at Lynbrook and then transfer to the Babylon train at Lynbrook. Because you're gonna have to transfer 3 times if you do it according to them. You have to take the train from Long Beach going west and get off at Valley Stream. You're gonna have to wait about 20 minutes to get the Far Rockaway train, take that to Jamaica, and then transfer again to the Babylon train to reach Penn Station. So I think that's stupid. You're better off getting off at Lynbrook if you're coming from Long Beach or any of these stations here, getting off at Lynbrook and then transferring to the Babylon train at Lynbrook. But I guess they don't want you taking the Babylon train, but I'm telling you how to do it. It's only one day. But that's what they have you doing. So I don't necessarily agree with that. I think that's messed up. And also Valley Stream is getting screwed because they're only going to have 1 train an hour. Valley Stream, 1 train an hour, no service to Penn. They're going to have 1 train an hour to Atlantic. So they are getting screwed because of this. No surprise. Again, this goes on for most of the trains, except coming back out of Long Beach in the evening. There is direct service, and same thing. It's the same thing going to Long Beach, going eastbound. There are some direct service coming out at certain times, but again, you're better off instead of leaving earlier, like for instance here, right? Instead of getting on the 322 out of Penn and then making all these transfers, you could just take the Babylon branch to Lynbrook and then transfer at Lynbrook. So it's up to you. You want to transfer at Lynbrook or Valley Stream, but you are going to have to wait there about 15 to 20 minutes. There are some direct trains also coming out. So there are some direct trains, 6:45, 7:45, 8:45, and 9:45 do go direct. So it's not all the trains that are affected by this. There is some direct service, but it is limited. And I know this work has to be done, but once again, I don't know why the Long Beach lines couldn't be rerouted over onto the Babylon branch tracks, or technically the Montauk branch tracks. But, this was all probably put in place ahead of schedule by Patrick Nowakowski, and he wants to screw you. Doesn't want to mess with the pretty little Babylon branch. Can't possibly inconvenience or even ruffle the feathers of these snobs. He can't even ruffle their feathers. Sorry. So I'm really tired of talking about the Long Island Railroad. I hope I don't have to talk about it now. All right, I know I'm gonna have to. I don't want to talk about. I'm tired of talking about it. I just want things to get back to normal, get their act together, stop the discrimination. But as long as they're doing it, I still got to talk about it. That's it.